Hello, Glow Nation. We've got a special one for you tonight, something a little different than what we usually do. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in with us on a Thursday night. Always happy to have you here with us. And of course, I'm joined tonight by my wonderful co-host, the brains behind the operation, Mr. Jason. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you. Long time meeting, but really looking forward to this afternoon. I'm currently in the process of looking for our guest, so I'm going to ask everybody to please retweet this space and get it out there as best as you can, please, while I work on the background a bit as far as locating our guest.
Okay, I got scared because I lost you. I couldn't hear you for a second, and I was like, what in the world's going on? Twitter is doing it to us again. Okay, can you say one more thing, Jason?
Yeah, we're not.
Okay.
We're not going to do. We're not. Twitter is not allowed to act up today. Okay, but we are. Or I am going to have to go find and kidnap our guest, and so I'm going to let you do our normal thing, and then I will be back with disclosures and such.
Okay, cool. While we're waiting on our guest and Jason, I pinned a tweet to the top. Tonight's show is going to be broadcast live as well on our YouTube channel, on the Glow official channel. How do I say that? Yeah, the official YouTube channel for Glow. So if you have not went and subscribed to the Glow YouTube channel, please go and do that now. Stay here too, but do that also, and leave some comments and like the video and all that kind of stuff. We need to build up that platform because we have some really good plans for our YouTube channel in the future. And if you know anything about YouTube, no one's ever going to see a video or see any content unless it has the proper amount of followers and likes and comments and all that YouTube algorithm stuff. So please go help us out. Subscribe, like, comment. Even if you don't watch the videos, let them play and just comment it. We would totally be all about that. I do need to promote another YouTube channel though, unofficial one. Greek is going to be having an AMA Tuesday at 7 o'clock. He's going to have a guest, Crypto Atlas, which is going to be about Eco Warriors, which if you have not heard about that yet, it is a NFT project that will be launching on Glow's NFT marketplace that is coming into the future. So if you have not checked out Eco Warriors yet, Tuesday, 7 o'clock on Greek DeFi's YouTube channel. I retweeted his tweet about it earlier, so just go check out my feed and you can see it there for sure. All right, and who do I have? Oh, I've got some of my mods here today. I've got Adam, who's really shy, so I always like to point him out when he's in here. And Annie, another shy one who's here and we love. And Miss Kimmy is here. She's the one actually streaming us on YouTube right now. She does like a billion things for Glow Project, so we kind of love her. If I can, all of you folks, before we get January in here, if you would please retweet the space so we can help find all of our family and friends and get them all in here. I do have to give another shout out, Working Man. I've seen him cheating on me with some other projects, lately. So, that's okay. I'm happy he's here. Hello, Mr. Working Man. And I have January here. Finally, let me bring her up. Okay. Now that we have our esteemed guest, Miss January Walker, in here, I'm going to go back to Mr. Jason.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Been a bit busy. Big pleasure to have this walker on. And there's one thing, that we always try to make a point of here on Glow Nation, and that is that we do everything we can to bring educational content, and Vision does his entertainment aspect of things. So, as always, this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. We cannot, as a company, claim to endorse any project or person that we have on, but we have the ability to present things forward to our audience. Again, whether they be projects or persons, and let the audience engage and let the audience make their own decisions. So, Miss January, it is a pleasure to have you on. And if you could give us a minute or two on just you as a person, because we always like to bring forward the fact that people involved in these shows or behind projects, there's actually people behind those screen names. And so a minute or two on you as a person, and then we can go from there. Welcome to Glow Nation.
Yeah, hey, thank you so much, Jason. My apologies to the room. I completely lost track of time until I received that phone call, and so I had to end my other call. But I'm so excited to be here. I've heard such great things about you. And then, sorry, Jason, what was the second half of what you wanted me to share while I gain my footing here?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Take a deep breath. Our audience is very forgiving, and we kind of like to start out by just knowing a little bit about you as a person, and maybe how you got into politics.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about me. First of all, my name is January Walker. There's no real story behind my name, but I do like to think my mother believed in new beginnings. And so I'm going to just go ahead and claim that one. But as far as politics, 2014, I remember having this thought of, man, I really wish that there was a politician that like listened to the people and solicited our feedback and talked with us and communicated us, kind of like, FDR did, and brought that community together instead of just making decisions for everyone. And so I kind of sat on this idea for a few years, and then eventually, some of the technology came forward in which we can make it a reality, like these Twitter Spaces is a great example of that. And then also there's tech out there like Canonizer or even NFTs, I think, could be used for voting. But these technologies that are coming forward in which you can capture the voice of the people. And I think that that's really cool and awesome. But privately, I work in cybersecurity and the digital identity space. So this is allowing you to do document verification remotely, and pioneering and planning technologies and self-sovereign identity, decentralized identity, blockchain identity, that kind of thing. So while a lot of people are inside of the crypto arena of blockchain, I'm inside of the identity arena of blockchain. And so it's really cool to see how all these pieces play together. But outside of the professional stuff and politics, I absolutely love having fun and really, experiencing life to the fullest with friends and family and bringing community together and making happy memories. And so a lot of that is what drives me in these endeavors.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing with us. This is a little different for us, so you kind of have to bear with us. What we usually do whenever we have like a crypto project on, we usually talk to like a CEO or VP or something like that of the project. And what we have them do is we pick apart and have them tell us all about the project, right? First, like it's the elevator pitch, and then we like really dive into the roadmap and ask them, all the questions about the roadmap. And at the very end of it, I like to ask about the CEO as a person, just to kind of put some human aspect behind that Twitter profile, right? So that's kind of what Jason was doing. is we're going to ask you about, your thoughts and everything about security and regulation and all that. But we want to know about you as a person as well. So thank you so much for sharing that. We want to put the human aspect behind you, right? So you're just not a Twitter profile picture. So people actually get to know you as a person. Okay, so that's kind of what we're doing. We're kind of winging this. We've never had a show like this before, so stick with us, January. We're going to get through this, and we're going to get a lot of education out there thanks to you. So, and again, thank you so much for having the time for us today. It's an honor to have a potential future Congresswoman on the show. So, when you're big time later, don't forget about us little people, okay? I think looking over some of your information, I think the first thing I want to talk to you about, which is something I think you're passionate about, is security. And I think that's really important in this space right now. So kind of give me your thoughts on security in the crypto space, and maybe what needs to be done, or what do you think can be done that would help people stay a little bit safer and, not have to worry so much about their money when they're putting money into projects. Is it going to be like a Luna thing where the guy runs away with all the money, or, what? Give me a little thoughts on that.
Yeah. So, very, very interesting question. Apply security aspects, and one of them that kind of keeps coming up, and this was my suspicion in the beginning, so it was kind of interesting to see people say this when I started listening more to the crypto community, but they mentioned KYC a lot. So making sure that these people that are starting these projects are open and honest and transparent about who they are. And the other half is on the user side to kind of stay away from sensationalism. For me, it kind of feels like that little tingliness in the brain where you kind of get excited, and so that's something that we can do personally. And then of course, I know that there's tons of educational pieces out there where it teaches you exactly how not to be, I hate to say like a victim, but how not to be subject to the bad actors that are out there. But from a security standpoint, I really think that it's time that these people that are spinning up these companies be direct and open and honest with us, so that if they decide to go offline, we can come to them and we can track them.
Absolutely. And this January, what do you think is, I don't want to get into too much of your entire platform so early in the show, but relative to crypto, what do you think is the strongest position that you intend to represent if elected?
The strongest position, I think, would be like any individual that is a bad actor, right? Identifying who those people are and making it so they have to be known. Really, that is the point that we're at right now, because currently we're lacking trust in this space, and I don't think anybody fully would disagree with that aspect, that we are lacking trust. And as we try and establish ourselves, and we want to make our finances stronger and the causes that we're working on stronger, but the biggest way that we have to do that is to establish this level of trust first, and identifying the scammers, who they are, and bringing legislation forward that actually protects the people, right? Like in my mind, before they even considered taxing individuals, they should have worried about protecting the individuals in this space, and that just didn't get done. So it's going to be one piece of legislation that I target. Any way to create this framework of trust is going to be the next one. I have some ideas about it, but I think that we really need to get some input from people that are subject matter experts in this space, and that's what I'm around, is bringing these voices to the table that know these products back to front, in ways that I am coming up to speed on. and making sure that we get those implemented.
I understand. So here's a curious question, and I know you're very good at speaking. Our COO, Mr. Shane, heard you apparently on another platform. Something that you said, though, in there, and I don't know that I disagree with you, relative to making people responsible, but the concept of cryptocurrency was based on being anonymous. Do you have a proposal, or are you working on a proposal to hold people accountable and still allow the anonymity of the crypto world to be just that? Because I really feel like there's a tremendous amount of people that are going to bail out of crypto if it becomes another self-identifiable bank account, right? So how, if you have any thoughts on it, or if you are possibly working on a plan in the background, how would you propose to make it so that bad actors can be identified, but the community still allow the autonomous aspect of what the entire crypto movement has been founded on?
Yeah, this is an excellent question. So my initial, I don't want to say target, but my initial focus would be on the people that are spinning up these projects. I think that is the healthiest way, and we can't just pass sweeping legislation. I think that that's another problem that we've been having, is it really needs to be incremental, and making sure that we're pulling the correct levers at the appropriate time in order to get the results that we want. So in my mind, if you're spinning up a big project, then you would want to be doxxed. And that builds trust in the community, because it's like, okay, well, if something happens here, I know exactly who to go to, and they're not going to run away with my funds. If individuals chose to, you could also tie your credentials into something called a self-sovereign identity wallet. And self-sovereign identity, I could talk about this stuff all day. I'm so passionate about it. My poor workplace, I think they're tired of hearing me talk about it at this point. But with self-sovereign identity, you own your digital identity. Nobody owns the information that gets put in there for you. And so self-sovereign identity is a decentralized technology, and it allows holders of this wallet to manage and control their data. So if you had a birth certificate or a business license or a university degree, all of this information could be stored in there. And then it's not, it doesn't depend on third parties to store or centrally manage this data either. And so I think that that's really important. And if you're having these private, secure peer-to-peer interactions between multiple parties, you have the opportunity, if somebody will be able to interact with the person that I know is verified, and not just like verified credential, you could do that with this. Okay, the identity, and it's tied to this, and you can transfer it that way. So, but the big thing is there is a community of your feet. And if I want to an even more basic example of how this technology works.
Yes, ma'am. We are having a bit of trouble with your audio. So I don't know if you need to go back and come back in, or if you might be able to get a little better situated. But I do thank our illustrious leader, Vice President of Education, Mr. Jared. Mr. Jared, did you have something you want to put it on there?
I do have some questions from the Discord chat that can be brought up. One is related to scammers and legislation. voter fraud with NFTs, and another question. So that can be segued in if you want to continue on. Otherwise, I can bring those questions up now.
No, are you having a question?
So it shows up.
Okay. So we're having a little bit of issues with Miss January and her audio right now.
Sorry,
and,
can you guys hear me?
Oh, that's much better.
That's much better. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so with that, was my audio just choppy? Because I'm showing full bar coverage right now.
Yeah, you're a little choppy. You sound like a robot, but right now you sound perfect.
Okay, not sure what's happening here.
Could you hear us? Okay.
Yeah, you guys sound perfect. So it has to be on my end. This is quite embarrassing.
Okay, good. No,
no, it's not.
This is Twitter. It happens. Me and Jason do this all the time, and trust me, this is nowhere near the worst that's happened to us. You're fine. No worries at all.
Absolutely.
Twitter Spaces is officially still beta, so they do their best, I guess, and we're just gonna keep on trucking, and it's all gonna be okay. So no worries. If we can't hear you, we'll let you know, because we don't want you to, be talking and us not hear your message. So we got you. No worries at all. I do think it would be a good a time, since we have kind of a segue right now. We'll go to Jared and let him ask some of the questions that we're getting in our Discord. So to let you know what's going on, Ms. Walker, when we have a show on Twitter, a lot of our Glow fans, they listen in, but they're kind of shy. So what they do is they type up their questions in Discord, and then we'll disseminate that information between Discord to here, and they're listening, so they still can hear you. They may not be in the space, but they're there. So Jared has a couple of those questions from our Discord channel that he's going to ask you from the folks listening in. So with that being said, Mr. Jared, I'll push it on to you, sir.
Sure. So first question is, legislation against scammers is sorely needed, but what measures will you propose to protect we the people from government overreach in the process of trying to integrate protective legislation?
I think she's having to go out and reconnect right now. So, okay, we got her back as a speaker. If you could, Jared, could you repeat your question? Because I think we just got Miss January back.
She's still showing as listener on my end, so we'll just wait a second here.
Let me send her an invite to speak.
Come on, Elon, let's fix this.
Right?
Yeah.
Get Elon on there.
I know. He's strapped to the top of a rocket right now, so he's a little busy. But she's definitely has some problems on her end. It's not on our end at all. But Jared, would you like to, until we can get her back and get her lined out? I do see she's back in. Is there anything, Jared, because you are over our educational aspect of things? Is there anything that you would like to say or address about what Ms. January has said previously?
I think the biggest thing is that legislation needs to be put in place to protect crypto and make sure that it can excel into where it needs to be. Blockchain offers a lot, but the government is not exactly up to par with all the information that's out there. I think it definitely needs to be put in the right direction that allows crypto to grow, especially DeFi being more decentralized. And it's a really hard area to kind of put legislation on because it's trying to be separate from government and banks, but kind of still needs that push. So it's really just, it's a tough area, and having the right people in place, such as Ms. Walker, would definitely help the space grow and ease a lot of investors and that fear that crypto's a scam when it's really not. It's a beautiful thing.
I agree with you. And if you had your choice, and I'm gonna put you on the spot here a little bit. If you had your choice, what is the one thing that you feel like would advance these avenues relative to tying in cryptocurrencies with, mainstream and, like I personally believe that, it's regulation is needed, and it's will be a good thing, and it needs to happen, right? And I see we have Miss January back up as well, so I'll swap and propose it to you with the need for regulation, but the desire from the crypto community to have that privacy that this whole concept was built on, right? What are your thoughts on blockchain innovation to help other things and ways that we can accomplish regulation? And I'm going to say without having individuals in Washington that really do not understand the concept whatsoever. That's what scares me as an individual, right? It's having people in Washington that don't understand anything about cryptocurrencies, blockchain, anything like that. But yeah, these are the people that are supposed to make the regulations to a multi-billion-dollar industry already. So I know that is a platform that you're running on. How, if elected, would you intend to persuade Congress and put your influence into Congress so that that type of a scenario does not happen?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
You're good.
perfect. It gave me some kind of error and then booted me out. So, just so that I understand, the question is how can we integrate technologies like NFTs, right? Crypto, metaverse into our real everyday life, right? And how can we protect the people from government encroachment on those technologies? And talking a little bit on the people that made the laws in Web 2 and Web 3. Is that correct?
Sure, absolutely. Go with it.
Okay. Yeah. So as far as protecting people, right? This legislation, anything that I'm proposing, it's going to be very, very, very gentle. It's going to be very light. It's not coming in with the heavy hand just because we've seen what heavy hands do, and we know how much it polarizes communities and things like that. So take it, and I'm not sure how much from my last comment that you heard, but it's making it so that we have measures in place that essentially say this is an honest venture, that does not have fraud tied to it. If there are individuals that have been committing fraud, we essentially oust them. And then, if needed, it might even be to the point where the companies that hold the wallets, they may need to oust these people themselves because, we know that they have the information to do that, and so there might have to be some accountability on that level, which I don't think people love the idea of. But if you're committing fraudulent and bad behavior, then that is a way that we need to move forward in this space. First of all, does that make sense so far?
Yes, ma'am. I think Legion's working on some things in the background. How would you tie this into, once again, because I think this is the biggest deal, and that is, I think a lot of us who are bigger investors and responsible investors, the whole concept was created on non-government involvement, but I think we all know and understand that it it is going to happen, right? And so it's important to have someone that has the position that you're coming from that is not trying to have, a heavy-handed approach. So you're saying that you would not necessarily put the burden on the buyer or the seller. You would like to more see the exchanges or those places where the wallets are held to be responsible when they clearly see that there is, fraud or mischievous activities going on, to freeze those types of assets, or not freeze the assets, but freeze that entity from continuing to do business until further investigation.
Yeah, or even if they just put a label on them, right? Just some kind of indicator to say, hey, this individual or this account has been associated with poor behaviors in the past. So, be cautious. And we should have a conversation around what those behaviors are. Like for me, specifically thinking in the crypto space, if an individual does a rug pull, that is like 100% major glaring red flag, and something that really needs to be addressed, because no sane person is going to say, oh, I trust the system, anytime they can just be rude about it, But yeah, so I think initially we look at the individuals that are kind of controlling these mechanisms. I know that might be a little too centralized, but having some way to identify these people, and then depending on what your project is, making sure that you have KYC performed on you. And from there, then, I'm not fully sure of a scenario yet personally where I'd say a user needs to be verified, but I think that's essentially where my thinking is coming from.
All right, we're gonna try this again. We're gonna go back to Jared and hope he doesn't break the internet again. Mr. Jared.
I didn't mean to break it. I'm sorry, but
I mean you, Jared. It's okay.
It's all right. Yeah. So with this whole, protecting people from scammers and rug pulls, what are your thoughts on, one aspect of protecting people is the government working with internet service providers to log people based on their IP or their net presence to protect, to basically keep a record of these addresses of people that are creating scams, because obviously anybody can create a token or a project and can create as many wallets as they want, and obviously the DeFi space kind of has to stay decentralized, otherwise it's not DeFi anymore. It's CeFi. So, what are your thoughts on that?
This is a hard question for me because I definitely am not a fan of government entities tracking people. I think that's just a gross overstep of what's needing to be happened, what should be happening. So I think that this is where technology, and I'm going to lean back into this a little bit more. I think this is where technology, like your self-sovereign identity wallet, comes into play, where you can essentially say, hey, I'm a real person. You are interacting with me, whoever me is, but essentially say there is a real person on the other side of this that has an identity built in their wallet, and they can essentially assign an ID to the transactions. I think that would be a much more appropriate way of going about this than to say, oh, where's your IP address, and let's do GPS pinpointing and location and all this other stuff. That's just me personally. But if there are people that feel very passionately about tracing an IP, I will still have the conversation. Right at the end of the day, it's not me going in and trying to be a dictatorship. It's saying, okay, let's have our greatest minds come to the table, people that are really talented in this space, understand even more of these complex issues, so that we can paint this very lush picture with a lot of different colors to it. So that, I think, is more of where my approach would be from.
No, and that's fantastic. And that's I kind of just wanted to bring that thought process up to kind of to bring that idea to light, because I know there's other people that have thought of that idea as well. And I'm definitely not for spying or monitoring people through the internet that way. So I think that's a great idea with that type of approach.
And Mr. Jared, would you like to try the Discord questions one more time? So I want them to get their questions in for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first question was, legislation against scammers is sorely needed, but what measures will you propose to protect we the people from government overreach in the process of trying to integrate protective legislation? So, I mean, we kind of already dabbled in this, but we'll kind of answer that question completely.
What was the last part of my previous answer that you heard? In relation to this question, because I went through it quite in depth.
It was kind of scrambled, but I think a majority of it was handled with the wallet that you're mentioning. So I guess if there's anything final you want to say on it, we'll go with that. But yeah, I think you answered the question for the most part.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I wasn't sure where that completely dropped off. But ultimately, like I said, my focus is on protecting people first. I don't ultimately think that we should be tracking people at the level that our government has been doing. And I think that we need, because we never used to do this, right? When we consider and we look at this, we never used to have a government that tracked every single place that we went. And we had like great communities and everything like that. And so relinquishing it is relinquishing the power back to the people to say, hey, we trust our citizens to be doing good things, but let's just create this framework of trust where we say there is going to be some measure of accountability if there is a bad actor. And that will really be my focus is legislation that respects people's personal privacy. And when I say respects it, I mean right down to their biometric data, right? Or their behavioral biometric data. The government doesn't need that on its people. And so returning that control and that power back to individuals is going to be my focus.
I really appreciate you coming in with us and sharing your thoughts and your opinions. And I believe that at least some of the things, if not all the things that you're saying, would probably very much appeal to strong crypto holders. Here is a question that I think cuts to the core root of what many are worried about in the crypto space, and that is taxation of what is held. If I hold a token, for example, and it goes up, 5x, but I've not sold that, I've not cashed that out, right? Should I be taxed on that? Or should I be taxed on reflections, for example, if I'm staking, or whether I'm staking or not, whether it's staking or whether it's reflections, should I be taxed on that if in fact it's never withdrawn back into my bank account, right? So what would your position be in an issue where a realized gain scenario comes into play? And that is, if I don't take it out, I think the common theme is, if I haven't gained it back into my bank account, why should I be taxed on it?
Yeah, this is a great question. I want to ask a question before I answer this. Are you borrowing,
Sure.
Or is there a method to borrow against the money that is in your account?
There are some some new NFT platforms that are coming out where you can borrow against your NFTs. And, you can definitely technically borrow against some of the more blue chip things. So, I mean, that would kind of be the best answer. I'm talking about a simple investor who is, is holding a coin or a project, who experiences a 5x gain, but they haven't sold and they haven't brought back any value into it. I mean, the bottom line is do you feel that funds should be taxed in any way unless it is literally sold and brought back into the fiat system, back into a bank account?
Right. So the reason that I asked that clarifying question up front is actually because of some of the behavior that we've been seeing from our multi-gazillionaires. Right. That's just how I'm going to refer to them at this point, because they have an incredible amount of money. And when we look at some of these players, right, so like Elon, he essentially borrowed against his account for money that he's like, no, I don't have that money actually, but no, I do have that money, but then other people are putting money forward. I think that if you are using your money to essentially as like collateral for some of these endeavors, that is a completely different ballgame, where there are examples that we know that we need to close off today. So if that same game is, and I'm going to call it a game because that is my sentiment towards it, is being played in the crypto space with NFTs or anything like that, then yes, we should definitely approach that in a pragmatic way, where we're closing off these loopholes and not allowing people to take advantage of the system. But if it comes on, like if it's just, hey, my account's gained 5 times the amount that they had previously, I kind of look at this a little bit in the way of stocks, right? So if your stock portfolio goes up, are you being charged on that? No, right? And so that's going to be a similar level there. In terms of taxes and what I think is appropriate, I think that there's some data that I want to look at first before coming out and just saying, hey, this is really the path forward, because we know that they're coming out with legislation on taxes, and I feel like they're going to try and attack this anyways. And so really we need to come together and say what is fair, what is not. And to say no taxation, I don't think that would ever work, right? So like whether I say yeah taxes or no taxes, like there's no way in which the societies that we live in would really allow for that.
I agree with you, and I'm going to go on record, as popular or unpopular as it may not be, as saying that I believe in our system of government, right? And in as much as I believe that, I have not, in my little lifespan, seen our government create anything, right? It's always they wait till some industry becomes a really big deal, and then they tax the ever-loving hell out of that. Okay, let's just be honest. So there's no creation coming from the government, but there's taxation coming from the government. And so I think that's a big question for those of us who are very serious, who are very involved in the crypto space, is how far are we going to let the government go in taking monies that they had absolutely no investment in and nothing else to do in, but yet every single holder of a cryptocurrency, whether it was $10 or more, is invested into that industry. And so it is important that we put people forward that understand that concept. What would you say to someone who had that belief system?
The belief system that they shouldn't have any kind of claim to the finances that I have acquired and made. Is that understanding the question correctly?
Yeah, sure. Well, whatever you feel, like the right answer is absolutely perfectly fine. I just know that there are many in this space who feel like there are individuals and involved in making policies in Washington at this current time that, and this is my words, can't spell blockchain. So I don't particularly care for these individuals that don't really understand what the thing is that they are trying to pass laws and regulations on. And I know that's part of your process, and that's part of your campaign. But there's got to come a point to where, look, if I were to go try to get a job at a mechanic shop, they would ask me my experience on being a mechanic. And so I think it's fair to ask individuals that are going to make policies and be in charge of making policies on crypto in general and all that falls under that. What is your experience in doing that? What qualifies you to understand what's going on and gives you the knowledge to make intelligent decisions on how what you say will affect a multi-billion-dollar industry?
Yeah, so I do really like this question. I was just clarifying the first half of it. So essentially, the way that when it comes to government taking any money from us, right? We do, at the end of the day, live in a society. We are a collaborative species, and countries, and just for context, I travel quite a bit. At the end of this year, I should have hit my 30th country. Eventually, I would like to go through every single country, which is, that's 195, so it's an extensive list. But the countries that do not invest in their people, that do not say, hey, as a society, like, we should have a certain quality of living, they really struggle, right? And we don't want to lower the American quality of living. But we also have to, and this is very complex, right? There's economics in this, but when you start pulling these levers and you start taking money out of the system where it is today, and you start putting it in other places, you'll see that the strength of that goes down. But still, those dollars should on some level be a part of society. And you can take your pick as to however you think that society should be. And really, when we look at government, right, if we look at it less as government, right, and I know that we don't have responsible spending right now, I think that that's something that we can actually change. I think through leaning into technologies that we could actually eliminate the national debt in a few decades. But by being a part of the system, we can continue to use these monies to enhance our quality of living and our life, because we don't want to see a complete collapse of the American nation. We want to leave a good place for the generations that come after us. So I think that's the first half of your question. And then the second half is, I've said this so many times, I do not believe that the individuals, because when we look at some of these people that have been, in Congress and the Senate, they've been there a long time. We have a gentleman at the end of this year that is, he turns 89 years old. And sorry, I don't mean to be so surprised, but I just don't think that they have the same level of knowledge and expertise of the technologies that we have today. And I don't feel comfortable with people that made legislation in the 90s and the thousands around the internet and got us into this centralized place where we don't have any protections over who we are, what our identity is, or they essentially took a large amount of personal privacy away from us, all in the name of security. That, I mean, when we look around, I don't think that we always have the measure of security that we would like. So with that, I definitely agree that if these individuals don't know the technology, we need to figure out who's whispering in their ears and what they're telling them, and have real and frank conversations on that level.
Thank you for that answer, Ms. January. I actually have a audience member come up that has a question for you. Please go, Mr. Professor.
Hey guys, Legion, I appreciate you letting me come up. Jason, thank you for hosting the spaces, guys. And candidate January, I appreciate you taking time to address these issues that are important to a lot of us who are involved in the space. My question stems back to your journey into your candidacy, and looking at this space as a potential, obviously, future trend within our own country, but nation and worldwide. How do you anticipate that change you just spoke about in regards to educating? I forgot what the average congressperson was, the age of the average congressperson at this point is, and the lack of understanding of this technology. How would you think, or what can be done to either educate our current legislators or bring in people who are well versed in our field here with crypto and with all the Web3 scenarios? Is there anything that you have in your platform that's looking at this space and saying we got to find adaptation or education for our current legislators to understand what's happening here?
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor, for that question. So, yes, there's a couple of different things that we need to do here. The first one is, and I'm just going to push on this because I believe in it, and that is you have to have a seat at the table. You have to have a voice and somebody that these individuals can look to that aren't mired in money and really, focusing on, how do I put this? Just focusing on the voices that are in their ears instead of trying to think logically. We know that there was that Bitcoin for Congress project where it allowed Congress members to actually interact with the system, and it gave them a little bit of money just to say, hey, this is how this functions. These are some things that you need to be aware of. This is your experience. I haven't seen the utilization ratios that we've had there. But the other thing is to get appointed to those committees and use, in my opinion, iterative legislation, right? I don't think that taking the approach to having some kind of comprehensive legislation like the stuff that we've seen come out is really the best approach. And then in terms of education, I like to think that every single person there will take the time to learn about these technologies, but ultimately, I don't know if they have the time, right? They have so many things coming and hitting at them that's where I really think that we have to bring this coalition and have informational sessions, and then over time, really get more than just one blockchain candidate into Congress. You have to have multiple candidates. But just, I think when we look at some of the educational materials for this space, when you hand that to somebody that's probably still trying to comprehend Web 2 technologies and Facebook and things like that, and haven't even moved into, new platforms like TikTok, right? When you hand them some of that documentation, you're like, here, read this. It kind of glazes past them to the point where they may not be picking it up. And if nothing else, saying, hey, if you don't understand this, please do not make legislation on it yet, or let's get informed or put it into basic terms.
If you guys don't mind, I have just one follow-up question to that. And we appreciate again your interest in our world, I guess, and would love to see more candidates running for office that would be willing to even sit down in a platform such as this. But the other one would be a little more of a push. If you were to be elected, would you push for Utah to accept crypto, or for state employees to get paid in a form of crypto? Would that be something that you would consider?
It's really interesting that this was asked in terms of a push. I'm not really, I don't like forcing people to do things. I think that that's the main answer there. I don't enjoy forcing people to do things, but through building confidence in crypto, I think that companies would adapt to it, especially if they knew that the right framework was being put into place for it. I wouldn't, and this is speculation, right? Knowing what I know, knowing that Utah is a technology hub, we have Silicon Slopes here. I wouldn't be surprised if there are companies that already pay in those terms. So very interesting question. Happy to have conversations around it. And then once you hit a certain point, say at certain point, meaning a certain level of trust within the space, and saying, hey, it now looks like if you would like to, you can pay your employees in certain currencies. And I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Guys,
as long as it's not, let me rephrase. I wouldn't be opposed to it if it is a trustworthy coin, right? And we'll just leave it at that, a trustworthy token.
Candidate January, I appreciate you taking my questions. Legion and Jason, thank you for letting me come up. I'll drop down as a listener.
Hey, thank you so much, Professor, for coming. I appreciate you so much. And by the way, Professor, you did a tweet not long ago with some choices on a poll, and I think you left a project out of that, one called Glow.
I apologize. I've been following you guys, and I'll be honest with you, I got to get involved with you guys a little more. I obviously I've seen you on the SafeMoon platforms and stuff, so I'll do some more. I mean, I think we're connected, so I'm going to follow you guys and try to jump in. So I apologize for that one, man. I appreciate you calling me out on that. I'll take that.
I was about to message you, and I was about to comment. And I was like, no, I'm gonna tell him what's up. Glow, show us the love, man. We love
you, brother. Creative Legion candidate January. It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate you and your time.
Yeah, thank you. Excellent questions, and I love the depth and complexity of these questions that are being asked. Because this really is the forefront, right? Like we are on a frontier that hasn't fully been explored in conversations like this, and so bringing those thoughts to the table and saying, hey, what do you think? Or even if there's something that you're like, hey, I liked your answer, but I want you to be aware of this, or even if you're like, I didn't like your answer and I want you to be aware of this. I think that is crucial and important in times like this, because it's not just me saying, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm really trying to build a coalition and get everybody's, like, there's a lot of knowledge here, and bring that knowledge forward and apply it in the right way.
Awesome. Love that answer. I've got a hand up from Jared, and then I'm going to go to Meta Captain. Thank you so much for showing up tonight, Meta Captain. I appreciate you. Jared, what's going on, my friend?
Hi, Meta Captain. So I know one thing that blockchain can really solve is something that a lot of people are concerned about, and I am no way saying that a certain party is doing this or anyone is taking part in it, but I know there's a lot of concern in regards to election fraud, and I know blockchain is definitely a huge area that can help solve this. So what what are your thoughts on blockchain or NFTs in related to election fraud and how that can be prevented?
Ooh, I love this question. I love the concept of blockchain voting. So first of all, Utah implemented blockchain voting back in the 2020 election. So we know that it works, and we had a high level of confidence in it. And in terms of election fraud, for me, I think we all know the talking points on all ends. And for me, the most important piece of this conversation is that it's never a concern again in the future, right? So that we don't have 2 years of nonstop conversations and investigations and accusations on all ends, right? So that we can avoid those, and so that we can avoid the protectionism that we're seeing deployed, where I'm sure it's with good intent, but individuals are creating laws that deploy protectionism and make it more difficult for individuals to vote. And like I said, I think that there's a lens of good intent there, but I don't think that the outcome is the best outcome. So in terms of blockchain voting, I believe that we can bring 100% election integrity as well as expand voter access. And I think that it's by pairing technology like the blockchain, and my personal preference is self-sovereign identity. I think that there's still some architecture and conversation to like make that work. But everything that I've seen definitely supports these two technologies marrying with a couple other steps in between in ways that allow individuals, no matter where you're at in the world, if you are a legally able to vote citizen and you have like your voter registration card in your wallet, that you can essentially have an election be triggered that you can access. And then once you access it, you can connect to your candidate, or you can vote, or you can look up their website, whatever it is, all from the technology that you already hold. And then be able, with a click of a button, to be able to cast your vote. And then anytime you cast that vote, we know that the blockchain is transparent and it's immutable. And so that information is not going to change at all. And then when we look at, people say, well, how do I protect my information? I think that that's where this wallet comes into play, where you can essentially say, I am an individual that's verified, but I have this layer of protection. And really all we need to know is, give a tally for a candidate that's on that ballot, right? And you can tie that to a decentralized ID. So that's the thought there. And I grew up as a military child. Shout out to all the military families and all the hard work you guys go through, and everything that people just don't understand when it comes to really giving your life to your country. So with this, we know that today they have to go through this very painful process of doing mail-in ballots, and this will allow them to really be deployed anywhere and to be able to cast their ballot for their candidate. And it also expands voter access to the people that have accessibility problems, that can't always travel, that maybe they can't get the time off of work, but they still want to cast their ballot. It just takes a couple of minutes, or if you're like me, a few hours to go through each and every one of the candidates and make sure I understand who they are. And then the other thing is that people always ask, like, well, what if we wanted to continue doing in-person locations? And it's like, yeah, you can still do that. You can still have that capability, and you can still tie it into the blockchain. So I think that we can have a marrying of these technologies where we move beyond paper. And paper is the greatest thing to me. Paper can be destroyed, but we can move beyond paper and really bring the United States into this really awesome, cool place of technology and innovation and confidence, bringing that trust back to the United States in a way that we haven't had in a few years. And something else that I want to add to this, because I think a lot of people wonder about how that's going to impact the environment. I see technologies that are quote unquote blockchain popping up that target zero carbon initiatives with their ledger. And so I think that we can bring forward those technologies, or any group that wants to essentially protect the environment. And I was looking up some numbers. I think it's like 200 million kilograms of CO2 that we put into the environment in each election, right? Just from cutting trees, and you can look these numbers up on Simply Vote. They just plug it into your own equation, but that's about how much you have there. And if you look at some of these newer technologies with them being carbon zero companies, I think that we could get it down to like 42,000, which would be hugely beneficial to our environment, and making sure that as we come up with new solutions, we're not making it worse in any way. Sorry, I rambled on for quite some time on that one.
No worries.
That's perfectly all right.
We appreciate your time and your answers, my friend. And we have a question from look at how we know Mr. McCaptain Chris. He's definitely a valued member of our little community. How are you doing tonight, Mr. Chris? And what question do you have for Miss January?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. Yeah, it's actually a really good piggyback off of Jared's question. I actually had to modify my question because he kind of asked what I was going to ask. But in general, a lot of the times in these spaces and within these communities, a lot of the conversation for like the token and crypto in general always drifts towards like the financial services stuff. But really what gets me excited is like seeing the software as a service development for like on-chain protocols. And I think that especially like in the real world for adoption purposes, for seeing like the blockchain further its future, there's a lot of opportunity to like protect assets here in America, like our infrastructure and stuff like that, by moving a lot of that data transmission on chain. And I'm wondering, since you are in the position that you are in, I'm assuming a lot of people have been like approaching you within this space, giving their ideas and pitching themselves and what they offer. Have you seen this adoption? Have you seen a lot of these services coming reality?
I'm seeing the very beginning stages of these services coming up, and it's really cool as you dive into some of the technologies where some people are a little bit further in one area, but another technology might be a little bit further in another. And when you look at this, right, there's not a lot of people that have expertise in it, so you're really bringing forward the pioneers in this space. But like you said, there are so many applications to blockchain technology that we should be using and we should be deploying. And a lot of times when people think blockchain, they think crypto or metaverse or NFTs. This is what comes to mind initially. But what we can do is so far beyond that, that as people recognize the vision and the capability and all the exciting things that are in our future, it's just been really incredible. And I kind of want to share something that came up in a conversation earlier with my team. But we were talking about how it's not just around taxation or like protecting people or anything like that. That there's so much that's going to happen in the next 2 to 6 years where we are in a technological revolution, and we have the opportunity to shape our future for so much more than we have today. And the U.S. is a little bit behind in this area, but I think once we start saying yes, like it's time to band together and move forward on this, that we are going to see so many incredible things happen, and we're going to really see, in my opinion, an advancement of humankind.
I absolutely agree with you. And speaking about that same level of time frame, the next 2 to 6 years, the DeFi space is very much going to fall during that time frame, right? It's crypto, but it's a new aspect of crypto, and there are people like GloV2 and Chris with MetaBUSD, and so many others that are all bonding together to solidify a core base in what the future is going to be for reflectionary tokens, which should be viewed the same as dividend stocks, right? You get money, and so it's very encouraging to me personally that you have all these projects that don't see themselves as competitors, and yeah, we all have to make our own space, right? But there are good common sense people. Brian, Jared, Kimmy, Chris with MetaCaptain, Neil with Enhanced, so many others that have the good common sense to know and understand that as a single project, it's going to be very hard for us to affect the overall landscape of things, right? But as a unit, as we draw our numbers together, we can make a difference, and we are all making a difference already. So, if you're available, Jared, I know you handle a lot of the educational aspects of what GloV2 is doing. Do you have any comments on that the Unite DeFi concept that we're all trying to do, and how strong it can be moving forward, and possibly the goals that you have in educating people on your Go podcast?
Yeah, I think uniting DeFi should flow over into this politics space, so that it can all work together to move technology forward in the government aspect, and move the country forward. It's just a matter of everybody needs to collaborate together, and education is a huge part of it, and it's up to all these projects to work together to educate and inform the masses of everything related to crypto and DeFi and blockchain, and make sure that it's not so scary, and show all of the aspects of everyday life that can be converted over to blockchain, and really just move everybody forward. It's that Unite DeFi needs to flow into all aspects of crypto and blockchain. Everybody needs to work together as I thought on it.
Absolutely. And I would ask you, Ms. January, do you agree with the comments that are being said? And do you have a vision for how, especially the blockchain community, could move forward? And how would you move it forward if you would be in the position to do so?
Yeah, absolutely. So I totally agree. I think that the community has got to band together, and in true decentralized form, my efforts on this front have really been finding communities like this one, right, where we have these great and brilliant minds sharing their message and bringing leadership to the table. So it's been in that arena of building this Web3 blockchain coalition, where we are all working together and banding together. And so I think that just having, kind of like, I don't want to say like honor code. That's not the word that I'm looking for, but something that says, yes, like we are legit, and we are collaborative, and we are forward thinking, and we are for the people at the end of the day. that would be a great marketing, or I should say, like a brand piece that people could add to this to say, hey, like I am with the coalition, and we united together so that we're bringing some really great ideas and trust to this space. And that's how I would do it first. I think that just by building excitement and reputation, that we could bring a lot of people to the table. And I think that there would be accountability there for groups that, if they didn't join, their peers, right? Like Glow Nation could be a peer to this, would probably be like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, why wouldn't you come to the table on this and build this together with us? So that I think is my approach personally. Instead of saying, yeah, government says you have to do this, like make it a thing where people are excited to say, yeah, we are a part of this, and we are uniters.
Yeah, absolutely. Be more proactive in terms of crypto versus reactive. Instead of, here's this scary crypto thing, let's react to it and create legislation to control it. Whereas we should be more proactive and utilize it and band together instead of going against the grain.
And speaking of being proactive, and I have Jared up here, our VP of Education. Until we get more people like you protecting the little guy from those bad actors, it's kind of on us, right, to kind of help each other and protect each other and educate each other. What do you feel is the most important education piece a project like Glow could put out there that could help that little guy, not be taken a victim by those bad actors in the space? What kind of information would you like to see us put out that would help people, to make sure they don't get taken advantage of, or some other part? What education pieces would you like to see the DeFi projects kind of put out and spread through the communities to help you, so once you are there, you don't have so much back work to do?
Ooh, there could be so many things that come to mind here. Sorry, I'm just thinking through where I would personally start.
Or your most
and
important,
you guys have
if that makes it easier.
Wait, I guess my first question is do you have documentation right now?
You mean documentation on, like, as far as like doxing of like the members, or what do you mean?
Documentation on your product. I think that would build trust.
And I will say that Glow is a
so okay. So I'm gonna
LLC.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Glow is a registered LLC and has a fully doxed team. So, which is what we're kind of pushing for. The being upfront, not being the shady, random person putting out projects. Right. Like our project is very much upfront. Is registered LLC in Georgia. We're trying to operate more as a LLC than a shady crypto company.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's really awesome. So from this standpoint, and maybe this provides a little bit more clarity, but providing documentation on the order of operations and how people could use protocols safely. So
just being kind of being upfront with, like.
Yes.
Okay, there you are. We kind of lost you for a second. So if I understand right, basically kind of operate like the way a real company does, that's transparent with this is who's in charge and this is who runs what and this is what we're doing, kind of the same way that a regular company would, right?
Yes, that is exactly correct.
And that's
So
exactly
always
what
operate
we're trying
with
to do.
transparency.
And that's exactly what we try to do. And we, we have these spaces and we have AMAs, we have the CEO, and all the members of the core team, here to answer questions straight from the community, and we don't shy away from anything. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that that's we're in line with your ideas too. I have a question, another one from Mr. Meta Captain.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was actually sorry. I raised my hand earlier because while there was an awkward pause, I was going to cut in and just have them come talk to me for the answer to the last question, but never mind. I would add on to that though. Just it's always the best practice, in my opinion, is to make it as intuitive as it is transparent on anything that you're doing, and I think that's what she was getting at. It needs to be something that's as simple as it is transparent through and through, as far as using your protocol. And like the situation with Glow, that's just as simple as like buying and holding it. It needs to be an easy way to make that transaction, an easy way to store it and view it, and an easy way to check on it. And like any other interactions within the Glow ecosystem as it expands, like NFTs and other things that are coming along the line, the exact same way. As long as it's really intuitive for somebody who is fairly novice to be able to interact with it, and as well realize what they're doing with those interactions, then you're on a great path for success.
And Chris, thank you for always being there when I need you. You come in clutch every time. So I smile every time I see you come into a space. So thank you, Chris. I appreciate it so much. Okay. It is Central Time. It is 8:20. So I'm thinking I'm going to go till 8:30. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Miss Walker. Anything that we missed or anything you want to get out there, please give us any information or education, or anything we may have missed or didn't ask you. Please tell us. This time is absolutely yours. So I'm gonna turn it over to you for the next couple of minutes, and I want to make sure we're respectful to you and you get what you want out there.
Well, a lot of what I wanted to get out there, you actually were very intuitive, and you asked questions around which really is that it's time for a new type of leadership that leans in to these communities, that talks to the people, that hears their concerns, right? Like we brought up taxes and how to protect people, and how to do our due diligence in this space, and those are all really good questions and things that we need to be aware of, because it's not just what can like government do. It's spreading the message and saying, hey, this is what government can do and what we can do, because there is a lot of responsibility on us as people and as individuals. And the other thing I wanted to share is that my approach is gentle, right? Like I don't want to cause huge waves in this community, because I think that if we're not very cautious, then with our actions we'll make it so that it's an unfriendly space. And because there's going to be so much innovation in this area in the coming years, we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot and put stuff out there that is not supportive and is hostile. And so there's that part as well. The other thing that I want to share is more from a personal vision aspect. I don't know about everybody here, but I'm incredibly skeptical of politicians. I've met enough, especially at this point. I've seen how they trade candidate endorsements like Pokemon cards, and that's just to kind of get ahead. And so I get it, and I understand how all of you must be feeling having any kind of politician coming into these spaces and talking with you. But I'm trying to do something different, something that hasn't been seen before. And politically, I left the major parties because after I did a listening campaign where I talked with over 1,000 individuals in 21, I put together a platform that was really people-centric. And with that platform, when I took it to the major parties, the response that I got was kind of, you know, run on whatever you want, but at the end of the day, you vote with the party. And I asked them, I'm like, well, what if the party's, you know, not voting in the best interest of the people? And they said, well, you ran on our platform and so you vote with us. And that just didn't sit right with me personally. And so it was a personal risk to leave the major parties and run as a third party candidate, knowing and understanding that just because I wouldn't go with the flow, that I would lose the easy path, I guess, into politics is the best way to put it. And I've been met with similar conversations as we go through and we make inlays in the community where people are like, wow, we love this idea, we need to push this forward. And then somebody, you know, high up talks to me and they're like, yeah, we're not going to do that because you aren't on the same team as me. And that's not how politics should be. It should really be, what are the solutions? How do we bring those solutions forward? And there's other things on my platform besides, you know, blockchain. Like, you know, in Utah, we're running out of water. Water is so fundamental to our lives that these items we can't just drop and forget. And so when I think about how I'm running this, I'm trying to offer transparency and openness and honesty in the best way that I know possible, which is just through communication and being authentic. And then also, the other half of this is I do see this community as I see the blockchain community as kind of the saviors of the United States in a small way, because you have so many technology forward people here. Like, yeah, there's some bad actors, but it's not the majority. The majority are really smart, intelligent people looking for ways to innovate and bring the future forward. And when we tie that to my state, especially if this community helps me get elected or spreads the message, whatever it is, I kind of see it as this community standing up for Utah and making sure that we get those other resources that we so desperately need that other people aren't focusing on. Like, for example, our legislation decided not to have a special legislative session to figure out what to do about our water. They just said, well, we're going to have struggles with water either way, so don't worry about it. Don't put money towards it. And it's like, you know, there are preventative measures we can take, whether it's not watering our lawns or bringing technology to Utah that they have in Afghanistan, like hydroflume, to help us here. And so I guess that's really what I'm asking is for the community to help Utah in a way that we desperately need. And if you like believe in any of this, and if, you know, it aligns to you, or you have hope, or you want to see government be different, there's so many ways that you can help. And it doesn't all have to be monetary based. And some of you may have heard like what the real dollar amount is to get elected in a campaign like this, where you're like, well, all this sounds nice, but, you know, what do you want from me? And we're taking on a crazy system together, where the incumbent has like $3 million, and I'm trying to run, you know, a campaign based on like power of the people. And there are many ways that you can help. If you want to design artwork for us, or if you want to spread the message, or you want to get us in touch with different companies and individuals and say, hey, we would like to see you endorse these candidates or get them into office, or hey, we want you to join this coalition that January is building, or just spreading the word in general. All that stuff is going to help us. And when I say us, this is all of us. This isn't just January. This is like the United States and the world, because the world looks to us as leaders. And just from recent conversations, as in Central America recently, they're looking to us to get our act together. And I don't know if we can wait another 2-4 years. We have to do it today. So I think that's all I wanted to share, is that there is hope. There's things happening. There's rumblings. You see this movement really catching speed, and people believe that we can have an incredible future, and that we can we can rein in some of these bad habits that we've been seeing for the last few decades. So, and thank you so much for having me as well. Very kind of you to invite me to your show and share this space with me. And, you know, I hope that we continue to have future conversations.
Thank you so much for that answer. That was very well put. And no, thank you for giving us your time. I'm sure you're at the end of the day, you're tired of talking because it's I'm sure you do a lot of it. So I appreciate you giving us your time. I do have one more question from Mr. Jared. How are you? What's up?
Just in terms of being able to communicate with you, I know I'm getting questions on Discord. So what would be the best method to reach you to ask more questions outside of Twitter? Because there's someone from Discord mentioning something regarding water, a project called Quench Sea that can turn salt water into drinkable water. So how would someone go about contacting you to share information or work together with you?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I see, this is what I'm talking about, like that innovation of, hey, come save us because we need help. But there are so many ways to reach me. You can reach me through Twitter, through Discord, through Facebook, through Insta, TikTok, email even. Email is utahpolitician@protonmail.com because you know how I like that security and privacy. So those are all ways to meet me. My handle is the same on all those platforms, just Utah Politician. And if you just send it over, that's great. I know that we're going to be doing spaces. I think my team is trying to set it up at 4:00 each day. So those are all ways to help. And I know on our website we have like little forms here and there. So if you submit it on there, it'll get to me. And I try and go through everything that people send. I know at some point this will it's such an accelerated pace that I can no longer go through everything or respond back to everyone, but I do go through them and I do look at the feedback and make sure that we're paying attention to the people and what they have to offer. So thank you for looking out for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what is your website?
Oh yeah, thank you. It's january4utah.com. And it's in my bio, so if you are following me, you can do that, or you just click into it. And then my last name is Walker, so you can typically find me on Google as well. But yeah, I really hope that from this that people feel like politics isn't so dark and gray, and that it's going to be okay, and it's not going to tear the nation apart. Like all we have to do is focus on that 80% of what we agree on, because there's so much that humans and Americans agree on, period. So it's going to be okay.
That's an awesome. That's a great way to end right there. I love that you said it's going to be okay. I really appreciate that answer so much. And I will say, all you guys that are here, follow all the folks up here at the top, me and Jason, so that way you can hear about future Glow Nation shows. Jared, just because he's generally amazing in education for Glow. Miss Walker, because she's trying to change things and make things better. And heck, follow Metacaptain too, just because he's a really nice guy and he does a lot of DeFi, a lot of different DeFi projects. That dude works a lot. So yeah, follow Chris too. Right, 8:32, perfect. I will tell you about. I see you laughing, Trump. I'm gonna tell you about our next show, which is Friday at 6 Central. We're going to have Everrise on the show to tell us about their project, which is tomorrow. Gosh. So Everrise is tomorrow. And then Monday is Grove. So we have Everrise and Grove as our next two scheduled shows. So yeah, you're not following us, please follow us so you'll see all those tweets about that. And I've been told, it's Tyler's birthday tomorrow too. So yeah, perfect time for you guys to come and hang out with Everrise. So thank all you guys for showing up and listening to, potentially what could be the future of our space, really educational thing. I really appreciate all the thoughts that came out tonight. And I really want to say thank you to my co-host, Jason, who is the brains of all of this, who I could not do this without. And thank you, Jared and Metacaptain and Professor, who came up earlier. Appreciate all you guys. And Ms. Walker, thank you so much for your time. I foresee in the future you're going to be so busy, and there's no way you're going to be on a Twitter space with Glow Nation. So let's hope for that future. So thank you so much for trying to make a difference. And Glow is trying to glow up the darkness of DeFi and bring clarity into the world. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll keep doing the same. And thank you for your recommendations of how we can make sure and be a good actor and not a bad actor in the future, because we absolutely want to be the light in the darkness. So, yeah. So with that being said,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. I really do appreciate you, Ms. Walker. I do want to end. I do want to tell you guys about Glow real quick. I almost forgot. Like, this is a Glow space. So for all of you listening who don't know what Glow is, let me tell you about it real quick before I say goodnight. Glow is a deflationary token that gives you a 10% it's 15% buy and sell tax. You get 10% back in BUSD rewards. So we reward in a stable coin. That 15%, 10% goes in BUSD rewards. There's a 5% more there, but don't worry, that stuff is going to good places. A percentage of it is going to a $100 daily lottery. All you have to do is hold at least $20 worth of the Glow, and you have a chance to win $100 of USD every day. Another portion of that goes to a wallet for a $10,000 lottery. You only have to hold $50 worth of Glow, and you have a chance of winning $10,000 worth of BUSD. That one doesn't happen as often, it's depending on volume and when that wallet fills up, but it's there. Now, the most important part of where that 15% goes is it goes to a charity wallet. Now, what happens is our community members put forth the different charities that they would like to see that money go to. Our core team then doxes those charities and makes sure that the money is going to the right places. That if they say the money is going to children, we make sure the money is going to the children and not, some CEO's pockets. So once we make sure it's a legitimate, good charity, we put them up for a vote. Our community then votes on those charities, and whichever wins at the end of the month gets the contents of that charity wallet. So far, we're a little over $31,000 that we have donated to different charities. So far, most of them our community has picked relating to children. We've given to orphanages, War Child, which is children that are affected by war, ones that have been affected by domestic violence, cancer. Like we've really went hard in the sector of helping children, which I'm 100% about. And the charity aspect is why I decided to get involved with this project in the first place. Glowing up DeFi by being transparent, being secure, being a full docs team, but also putting a little bit of Glow out into the world and lighting up a couple of those dark places where we can help. So that's what we do. That's what we stand for. So if you have not checked out Glow yet, please do that. I always tell people that we have punch and pie, and we're really nice. And we're here for you. I see laughs. I love laughs. Okay, so what is my last thing? Oh, my last thing. I always tell y'all this. Do something nice for somebody else, whether it's tonight or tomorrow. Smile at someone that's having a bad day. Do a little charity for for your community. Just do something nice. The world is a hard place out there to live in right now. Gas is like $5 a gallon. There's people without jobs. There's enough hardships out there. So do whatever you can to bring a little bit of light into someone else's day. Just be nice to somebody else. It doesn't cost you a thing just to be nice to someone else. So if you can, yeah, well, I say if you can, but you totally can. Be nice to someone else. Spread positivity, spread love, and think about that thing you're about to tweet. And is it really necessary? And is it nice? And if it ain't nice, don't put it out there in the world. Just keep it to yourself. So be kind. And you guys all come check us out Friday for Everrise. And go check out Miss January's website and see all the cool things she's trying to do. So, again, thank you, Miss Walker. I really appreciate so much of your time. And you keep doing good stuff, okay? You guys have a good night.
I sure will.
I'll see y'all.
Well. Have an amazing one, everybody.
Hey, you too. Thank you. All right. Good night. I always have a hard time like ending these because when I keep talking, so I'm just gonna do it. You guys have a good night. I'll see y'all Friday.